Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There you go, right down there. If you want to be among the first to hear my weekly takes, NFL, college football, more, right there. Harbaugh, college football, rearview mirror. See ya. Saban had many good years left. Alabama's still a top 3 program. College football, see ya. Boston College head coach, see ya. Chip Kelly rumored to be taking a coordinator job. I do think that college football is at a point where the transfer portal needs listen, the media is always going to defend the player. The media is always predictable, young. The media has gotten much younger in my career. Why? Because they're cheaper. As the media is getting more corporatized, that's why I love the volume. We pay what people we think are worth. We'll take older people that are a bit more expensive. I've worked for big media companies. They want cheap. Yeah. And cheap, young, idealistic media people always for the player. But the truth is this transfer portal is imploding the coaching industry because you literally spend all your time not only recruiting out, but in. You're recruiting your own players. And Jay Wright had another decade. He's like, I'm out. I understand. Krzyzewski could have remained. I'm done. Some of it is the NFL can pay coordinators a lot. But how much of this, it does feel like to me, where guys are like, unless you have a Clemson, Ohio State, but then I say that, and Michigan and Bama's coaches left. Are we going to get to a point where an athletic director now doesn't have to worry about a college job? These guys will just take a $3 million coordinator job and not have to recruit and deal with crap.
I went to cocktails with a guy in the SEC, or a scout that does the SEC, and he sat down with one of the main coaches. And he said one thing that has changed dramatically over the last couple of years with the NIL, and which is directly correlated with the transfer portal, is all one big transaction. Where before, if a guy was struggling, a younger player, it was your job as a college coach, one, just to help the human grow, but to help the player grow. Now, the moment, even if you're an 18, 19-year-old freshman or redshirt freshman, if you're getting paid $400,000, $500,000, it's one big, I'm treating you like the NFL. You're either getting done, we'll cut you, we want you to transfer. And the human element of that sport, which most of these guys playing college football are not going to the pros. It's the pinnacle of their life with their coaches, why they form these bonds. And it's all one big giant like stock market now. Even in the NFL, like I have a contract with you. I can't just tomorrow be like, I'm out, Colin. That's not the way the world works. And in college football, like Josh Allen, like, oh, we blew it. I'm just going to leave this offseason, right? We're in college, like, see, guys, I'm out. The coaches always did it. Well, I mean, they didn't just leave to random programs. They typically upgraded the program. So, yeah, Kalen DeBoer left to Alabama.
Well, it's always funny whenever I hear that. Well, coaches, it's college. You're a college student. That's an administrator. College professors get tenure. College students don't. They're not even. A coach in college, the player's not even to a coach. The contract, not the way it works.
I also think the NIL, the amount of teams that can pay guys now at the rates in which they have to be compensated is dramatically smaller than the amount of Power 5 programs we have. So Jeff Hafley, who leaves Boston College to go to Green Bay, if you just look at all the people that cover college football like on the X or Twitter, this is great, the NIL. Boston College is probably a bottom 5 Power 5 job. Like they should end up just playing like Division I AA football moving forward. Like they have no shot. So if you're him, you're gonna get fired, right? Because 7 wins is your max. You can't pay anyone who's available. And if you get a good player who's young, he's gonna leave. The teams in your conference, Florida State, Miami, North Carolina, they can pay him, let alone all the other programs. Green Bay can pay you $4 or $5 million. You go there. What if Green Bay is good at defense the next couple of years? And their team's obviously going to be good. He's an NFL head coach. Where at Boston College, he's going to get fired. I would say it was a indictment on the situation, which is obviously all out of whack, if he left a top 25 job. right? Damn, this guy left the University of Miami, or this guy left Texas or Oklahoma. He left Boston College, right? Ryan Day is not leaving to be a coordinator at Ohio State, right? He's staying there. Chip Kelly. Why does Chip Kelly want? Well, one, he knows Big Ten, I'm probably in some trouble. And two, like, they're going to fire me / this sucks. He never liked that element of the sport anyway. Now, would I hire him as my offensive coordinator? I mean, it seems like he tried to get one, didn't get one, but UCLA is not going to be able to compete with the NIL. Look at their basketball program. It's in shambles. They can't pay what these other programs are paying. So that's where I think the more and more money that comes to the SEC and the Big Ten, the top programs, the NIL they're paying. Look at Nebraska. Dominic Riola's kid, the number one quarterback. I played golf with a guy a week ago that played football at Nebraska that lives in that area. He's like, rumors in town is that guy got $4 million. $4 million, which is pretty risky with a high school kid. But that's the going rate to get in bed with these guys. But what if he sucks? Like, what if he's not good? Is that would you pay $4 million to a high school? This is not basketball and Anthony Davis. It's probably a 50-50 proposition. He's even a solid starter.
Well, I think I've argued this about Nebraska football. It is the only program that was great 30 years ago that will never come back. Now, I felt Notre Dame because of the isolation, the academic, the religious umbrella, but they've proven they can win when you get a great coach, Brian Kelly, and that's what he is. But Nebraska lived off Prop 48s. They lived in a world, once they left the Big 12, that means all those Texas recruits, well, mom and dad can't watch them every week. I thought that was a terrible strategy. I don't think Nebraska's ever coming back, and I think their fan base, full of wonderful, decent people, they still view themselves as this giant in college football, and I don't put them as a top 15 program. So for them to say, listen, it's an offensive league, NFL college football. We're going to pivot to an offensive coach, and we're going to have to pay to get great quarterback play. I think the only way Nebraska can be a 10-win team, the only way, is to do almost a Chip Kelly at Oregon, which is we're going to do stuff different. We're going to play a system in which we just really have all of our talent on offense. And if we don't win, we'll be absolutely wildly entertaining and lose shootouts to Michigan, Ohio State. I think Nebraska and I think Washington's been great, disappeared. Great, disappeared. I think most schools that have been great can come back. I think Nebraska's only way is to go get a star quarterback and a star offensive coach, and that's it.
Totally understand why they did it. It's why, like, for example, Oregon, you could argue moving forward, obviously was a really good job over the last 20 years. Is it a top 5 job in the country now if you factor in the resources they have for NIL?
Yes. Yeah. A top 7 at least.
When you have that, like the Cowboys, they have this huge brand, but if Jerry signs his own guys, they never have any free agent cap space. Right. So yeah, Jerry could have all this money, but who cares? He can't sign any free agents, right? He never has any room. Where in college, like Ohio State clearly spends the most right now. It's a huge, huge advantage, right? Oregon, like Dan Lanning, I'm sure Alabama offered him the job. He's like, no, I can win just as much here, and my path might even be easier in the Big Ten. And the funding I have, the access to money to sign these guys, because it's outrageous. Now, I think one thing that I've heard from a lot of college buddies is the power. The good part about the portal, when you're at one of the top programs, is you can improve the talent really fast. And when you have the money to cut them checks, an offensive lineman, a couple $100,000, a skill guy, maybe $300,000-$400,000, you can add 5-6 players. You're already recruiting well and mix that in, and you can get good fast. That's why I do think we'll see over the next couple of years, you'll see a team we knew was good all of a sudden be a national championship contender on a given year. They may not be able to sustain it like Ohio State or Alabama, but look at Lane. I just saw something on the internet today. Incredible year again in the transfer portal. He could have a season where could he win a national championship if it all goes right. Now, is he going to be able to sustain it for 10 years? It's probably hard at that program, like in Oregon, like in Alabama, like in LSU. But when you can pay these guys, that drives these coaches nuts. It's such there has to be some sort of limit of you just can't leave whenever you want. That's not how anything in society works. And like you said, the media celebrates it, loves it. Of course they do. That's not the way the world works. Even in college, if I want to get said coach, I have to pay a buyout, right? You got to pay. There's something coming back the other way. Okay, even Green Bay, I want to get Jeff Hafley. I'm sure they had to cut a couple $1 million check to Boston College. If there's a buyout, that's the way it works. Alabama had to pay for Kalen DuBois. He as a player, it's like, see ya, I'm out of here. It's like, okay, this is not a, it's not a sustainable model.